Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astro Monday. We are going to get into the story of our lives and how it's reflected back to us from the stars and the planets. We're going to start this show off like we do all the other ones. Let us know, so I can bring it up for Chris when we bring Chris up on the stage. Let us know how the last week has been going, in particular, what's happened in the last few days, which gives us some insight onto how the crowd, how the audience, how you guys are feeling, so that when I bring Chris up, he can get some context on who he is speaking to, how you guys are doing. I'm actually going to write Chris onto the stage. How you been doing the last few days? So guys, share how you've been doing the last few days. I'm about to. For me, I've been getting some prophetic wisdom upon waking up. And what used to feel like confusion and uncertainty the last few weeks is starting to feel like clarity. And now it's just about taking those action steps into the new reality that's coming. And it definitely feels like a new reality. It definitely feels like I know where the bridge is. I just have to cross it. Went to Goddess Makers Conference in Santa Monica, says Juliet Maroney. Goddess Makers. That's cool. Sounds cool. New follower from yesterday. Maybe you're the new follower? Not really sure. Pretty heavy. Got blamed and even lost my job. Got blamed and even lost my job. Heavy? Yes. Thank you. Super tired, says Happy Camper Cares. Feeling dizzy and weird in my body for 2 days, like energy leak. Miserable, but more clarity. A bit tired, but met nice people. A bit tired, but met nice people. Feeling inspired and full of Goddess Makers Conference in Santa. Sounds like a advertisement, Juliet. I'm not sure. Conference in Santa Barbara at Pacifica Grad Institute. Tired, not sleeping well. Grounding is everything right now. Yeah, I've actually found myself outside a lot more than the last, like basically going outside tremendous amount of time. Let's see if Chris is out there. Christopher Witecki, invite. Lots of mental plane energy. We actually just did a exercise. Balance thinking with not thinking. Balancing thinking with not thinking. What's up,
Hey,
Christopher?
buddy. How are you?
Good, good. Just asking people how they're doing. Um, can you hear me? You're frozen.
Yeah. Really? Okay, that's no fun.
Now I can see you now. All right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everything's good for me.
Huh.
Better, more clarity, uh, prophetic
Yes.
awakening. When
Yeah.
I wake up, getting direction that's being more clear, and it actually like I'm starting to hear a voice that I've never heard my entire life. Um,
Oh, really? What voice is that?
well,
What's his name? I was kidding.
it's a female voice. That I've heard it twice. Once it said Ra, it just said my name,
Huh.
and how did I forget what the second thing said? Well, I'll remember eventually, but
Okay.
super clear, like somebody was actually talking to me. Like it was right
Right
there.
on. Wow. Wow. Yeah, so you're having contact. We're getting a lot of reports of that actually. Um in the sense that a lot of people are suddenly having downloads. I mean, I know someone who's like finding herself to be a full channel now. And
Nice.
she didn't realize that that was in the cards before. Like just all of a sudden, like downloading information, everything's pretty crazy. So it's happening. People are waking up. Like people are like evolving fast.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I wrote down the second message in my notes because I was
Okay.
like,
No worries.
yeah,
Well,
but
maybe it wasn't meant to be shared. So sometimes that you'll get like you'll start to learn the very subtle variances of those messages. And
Hmm.
sometimes they're not meant to be shared, and so you'll get like kind of like a it'll come in, but you'll get sort of like almost like they've put their hand on your chest, like holding you back. That's how I for me. So it's
Hmm.
like that's what it's like. It's for you to know, but not the client to know. Like sometimes they
Oh,
don't want the
interesting.
client to know. Yeah, a lot of times they don't want the client to know. Like they'll tell me stuff so that I know it can be compassionate and set the stages for it, so it comes together when the client realizes what it was. But they weren't meant to be told in that moment because they wouldn't necessarily agree with it, or they would, they go into denial structure, and that's not what needs to happen, right? So, it's when they're ready. So I like drop
Yeah,
little hints, kind of thing. But anyways, yeah, it's a whole vocabulary, man, like of pantomime and downloading. It's crazy.
cool. Yeah, actually, a couple weeks ago, I have a book called Learning to Channel. And
Oh,
I just realized in this moment that I took it out of my bookshelf and I put it next to me in my bed like 3 weeks ago, but I haven't opened it yet. But it's just like the intention was there, you know? I just
maybe
realized.
it's the author of the book talking to you.
Maybe.
Rah, rah. You bought me, now read me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
we're in some intense times. Happy Labor Day. Both of us laboring on this day.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly what it's for. And we're into Virgo consciousness now. We're not quite we're at step 10 today, so we're holding space to let things come together. And step 11 tomorrow, where we become, this new version of ourselves. So we're like on the verge of becoming this new version. Sounds like you have already felt that happening. It's like, it starts to come together. It comes together before. Today is when it starts to come together, but there's sometimes a little bit of insecurity on a step 10 day because there's a lot of you can feel it unsettled, you can feel it incomplete, and that incomplete feeling can be unsettling, right? And make you feel not grounded.
I feel
But
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Feels like
me
there's
too.
something I have to do.
Yes, me too, constantly. And an uneasiness, and then a hard time focusing at the same time. But then when I do have the free time, I'm like, no, I'm like just doing stupid stuff. Get to work. You know, you know what I mean? Like, get to work. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been weird that way. I mean, Virgo's that way. I mean, this is what it's like to be a Virgo. You just like so a million things to do and not knowing which one to do next. And just try to get it done. Get her knocked out. But it's going to be an intense month because we're just reviewing Libra. Into October, and there's no, without a question, something happens. Next week. This with this lunar eclipse we have at 15 degrees. Something happens, and ultimately, what's going to happen is breakdown of daily relationships. So this is already happening. God, I hate when my predictions come true because, like, usually when I'll say a prediction or an example, it's my life and I don't know it. But I was like, someone's just going to go too far and say something they can't unsay. Like it's happening to me now. So it's like, oh man, I wish you hadn't said that. So just things where it's just like it's a deal breaker. Deal breaker. You can't go back. So there's a lot of deal breakers that start to happen between now and the eclipse, which I believe, to be specific on the day, I'll look at it here, but should be coming up here. And I believe, let's see here. I believe it's going to be on the find out here for us. I have an iPad here. I'm trying to be more modern, but then things weren't loading at the last minute. Like, damn it. Um, let's see. Today's the 11th, so it's on the 15th. So 4 days from now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Thursday or Friday. Thursday or Friday. So I don't have it handy right here because my stupid clips, my damn iPad would not load like I wanted to. So I had a lot of tech
So
issues too, by the way, guys. A lot of tech
So,
issues lately.
like you said, so you're talking about something came out of your mouth, and now there's like repercussions of that, and you're like, dang,
No, someone said too much. Like
okay,
they said too much and admitted something, and it's like, oh no, But that's because so people are hanging themselves a lot. Like I've also seen that too. I'm amazed. It's just like the subconscious. If a person's not ready for a journey, their higher self will their HS will sabotage it. You know, it's their higher self. I don't believe it's the subconscious anymore. That's science. I honestly think the higher self is like, nope, that's not what this little thing was supposed to do. You know, and so kind of like put an idea in our head, which is very easy for our own higher self. So I think a lot of person we pray to and what we interact with is actually our higher self, our own higher governance, our own higher
that was the
awareness.
original psychologically. That's what we as a society believed before science came along and said, no, it's just two lobes of your brain speaking to each other. Um, the bicameral mind was. was believed to be the gods speaking to us through our brain.
Oh, wow.
So
Huh.
that's what originally we thought.
Right. Well, we were right. You know, I feel, yeah. So it's been, since Virgo started, it's been, Virgo is 11, but it nets to a 2. So it means it's a very moody, emotional, it's like a second Cancer, season in a way, because there's a lot of emotions, a lot of sensitivity people have. Plus, the Earth is in Pisces, so we're also manifesting new compassion for ourselves and forgiveness and tolerance. So that makes you edgy too. And Pisces is very sensitive, so it's kind of like a very sensitive month, really, with a ton of stuff to do, like a ton of practical that you can't like let go of, like a ton of things that have to be done, for certain deadlines, things just sort of add up that way. And that's Virgo. But for the individual, once we come into our own power, which is the next 24 hours, you're going to become this new thing inside of yourself that that, is going to be the new you for a while. For some people, it's the acceptance that they have big flaws, like they've really got some problems to face. For some people, it's that, they're finally facing them or they're ready to face them, right? So it doesn't mean everything's squeaky clean, but it does mean that there's nothing new to learn. Like this is it. This is your, so for the first time in our lifetimes, because we've been unlocking past life stuff, the kids still have it. Like millennials will still unlock their past lives, younger people still unlock their past lives. But I feel like the biggest traumas have been set already. Like there'll be no big trauma, appearances. But it appears that, in Libra, we're just waiting for the Libra transits, ahead. And the theme for Libra is something like coming apart and then uniting and coming back together again. Like, so it looks like the society does a huge like separation of opinions, like a huge split, and a huge split of opinions. And you're like, oh,
Even
that's
more?
odd.
Yeah, it
Well,
seems
I
to
think
be
it's
the
like
theme.
shuffling. I think it's like shuffling a deck, though. I think you're going to have this time. I think you're going to have equal Democrats and Republicans opposing equal Democrats and Republicans. We're going to split over something else. I don't think we're going to split over our party lines because it looks like it's like kind of confusion, and it leads you to. And so you'll find people coming together, Republicans, Democrats, on certain different sides of the line. The last time we had this line split was the Civil War.
Feels like an alien thing to me, an extraterrestrial
Mm.
exposure, disclosure thing. Um,
Could very well it could be. Although the aliens themselves tell us that will be next year.
oh,
So
okay.
if it's now, it'll be our own government tricking us. I think
Yeah.
if it's now, it'll be our own government. Yeah, tricking us. And so I put that out there. It's a total possibility. According to Dr. Stephen Greer, who's done a lot of research on this, he's got a lot of inside views, says that we've engineered crafts, we've made little robots, like we've like designed to like we have the means to like fake a landing. So
Yeah.
fake a landing on the moon
Fake
and fake a landing
alien
here.
invasion seems to be what the government would
Totally.
distract us with in order to keep on dealing the cards of their fake agenda.
Well, you'll of course need the alien shot, to make sure you don't get the alien diseases,
Right.
right?
Well,
I'm sure
yeah.
there'll be that. I'm sure. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, yeah. They're going to save us from something. So they
something.
need to
Yeah,
create the problem.
exactly. That's the thing. But I also think some problems come to surface. And so what happens is like starting, so today's 10, tomorrow's 11, which is 12. It's 11, which is Wednesday. Thursday is 12. Friday is 13. Yeah, Saturday's 14. Sunday's 15. So yeah, between Saturday and Sunday morning, that's what it is. We have a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees. Now, 15 is a relationship, the grandmaster of relationships. It's also the smack center of verbal consciousness. And so it's a total lunar eclipse. That means that the entire step 15 will be erased. It's kind of like you. I don't know how to describe it. It's like the conscious gets. It's kind of like your memory gets blown out. So it's like remember your partnership. What partnership exactly? And then like it comes back, and when it comes back, it kind of comes back in like it comes back or it's reassembled that impression by a new perspective, right? And I've heard different descriptions of it, but basically something completely is dead forever, right? As a result. You just can't, there's no reviving it. You just can't go back, right? So in that case, it'll be a relationship to someone or something for people, which, they may not even recognize. And who knows? Considering it's going to happen on a weekend here in the United States, could very well be personal, right? A personal situation, you know,
And
and
that's
some
everywhere.
transits.
Just to
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
clarity on
So,
that.
Sometimes though, like, so people are like, I don't see the transits. Like sometimes it's like your health insurance provider, like, fuck yeah, we're done. Like sometimes it's like something like very commercial, very basic, but it represents you taking responsibility for your health and no longer partnering with people that don't give you the right health. It's like it still has a lot of symbolism as far as the importance. It's like the more spiritually mature a person is, the less dramatic the situation is, right? So it's like, you have the money, you can get a news provider, who cares? It's just slightly annoying, but it's still powerful. It represents like, you are making changes in the way you manage your life, and
And someone's
who you
asking,
become.
can that be felt now?
100% yes. In fact, you can actually see we're within the zone now. Technically, it's like 2 or 3 days before, but I've seen as soon as a week ahead. You know, um, you know, it depends on the person how ready they are to accept the truth. So if you're ready to accept the truth, then yes, you'll get your lesson early because God works in the most efficient way. So as soon as you're ready, they're ready. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, last week when you were on here, you were talking about we all sort of know what we've been doing wrong.
hmm
And it seems a little bit related to that. It's like if we didn't change course, then it's going to be changed for us. Is kind of how it feels.
Yes, and that's what I was saying with higher selves. So people are sabotaging things really badly. We're just like, oh no, like so and so's a burglar. Like things like that. Like yes, he's the Hamburglar. As a matter of fact, he killed. Oh my God! All this time, I thought, who was that guy in the mask stealing hamburgers? But but ultimately, yeah, you have that realization. But that's because the person was not facing it all, and so they just like upchuck, sabotage themselves, which I think is a higher self. Even when people, this is an interesting story, but like a lot of times when people have died tragically, all of a sudden, there's a higher self that took you out. Like, up, reboot the game. It's
Right.
not working. Just they're not following my instructions at all. They're just messing up our karma. Making adding more to the list. So it's like pull the strings, pull the cord. So yeah, it's fascinating. And now it's interesting. I've met a lot of people who do not resuscitate orders on there. That came up the other day amongst people here, and they were like, "I have a DNR. I have a DNR." I'm like, "What? You all have DNRs like to not resuscitate? Like, what the fuck? Like, why would you not? It's the only thing they can do in a hospital is bring you back. Like, that's about the only thing they can do. You're going to say no to it." But that was resolved. I was like, "Well, if you're not meant to be there, they'll kick you back. But I'm dead. Like, no, it doesn't matter. They'll create a miracle and put you back in there. You will
Isn't
be
that?
forced back if you start time. Yeah."
Yeah, that's kind of wild how you get exposed to things like that. Like you just like you said, you met people that have that. I remember a few years ago, it seemed like multiple people were like losing limbs or getting paralyzed. It was like coming at me from all directions, and I was like, how, like, what's going on? I didn't know, but it just reminds me of that time when like I was just getting exposed to a certain aspect of society, for some reason.
Yeah, like limbs, things like that. It's usually like a past life thing you couldn't deal with. So, that's like you had lost one, and now you're seeing yourself from the outside, and you're having compassion for yourself from the outside in, and that's common. That you'll see someone have a theme of certain accidents or a theme of certain illness, and it's like, yeah, because you died of it last time, and now a lot of times like people who have like their whole family die of cancer, like they have a history of dying, 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 dying. So now it's like the payback's a bitch. Now you see what it's like to be left behind, kind of thing. So yeah, it's interesting how it unfolds like that. It's really interesting stuff. Yeah. And so, anyways, so this week is really about getting your life in order. And your life in order means that your heart loves it. So I think what people don't understand, at least what I haven't understood, is we're so trained to tolerate that we don't question a lot of stuff, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to be the 8 out of 10. It's like, but you don't really love it, right? No, not really. But the way things are, that's how people are. So it's like that settling. For a lot of us who've been doing the work consistently, we're not in kindergarten anymore. It's not a matter of like choosing the one who doesn't shoot up versus the one who does. Like it's not that black and white for us. It's very subtle, very very subtle. And the subtlety is like, yeah, but you kind of wish it was this way, don't you? And it's like, yeah, I wish it was. Okay, why aren't you on that side? But I'm happy with my face. We've been so beat up. We're like, I'm just keep the sky together. Very low standards. And that's not ascension. Ascension is like beyond happy, like beyond joyful.
Right.
like to joygasmic, as far as how incredibly incredible it is, right? So we're supposed to, the lows we've had with like the crying and the and the Super Bowls, and then they have gone down, and it's horrible, and all these things that happen. This all this tragedy. It's not our nature at all, and it has conditioned us to expect things to go for the worst, which then of course creates things to go lean towards the worst. But now that we're in this ascension point where it's always supposed to be up, 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 everyone goes up a step and they're stopping. Oh, that's much nicer. Thank you. It's like, no, this is ascension. You're gonna keep going up the stairs. Like, oh, but we're fine here. I know you're fine, but you're not fucking great happy, are you? No. So get a move on. Like, so people are not. People will stop. People have had tragedy. Like, oh, this is just fine. Thank you very much. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And better and better and better. So
Yeah, you
it's
get
interesting.
used to just not having the pain, and that seems to be enough.
Yes, I know. I've been times when I've been in pain and pain goes away. You're just like, thank God. Like, just the pain away is just amazing. You're right, totally. Um, So yeah, and we're seeing a lot of shifts, and we're seeing things. You see a lot of logistic changes going to happen now. So a lot of people, quitting or getting fired or laid off or transferred. These big, big like life changing things. Where they're supposed to go to another state or another place. A lot of people getting calling to go somewhere. You're supposed to go there. Go there. I
Yeah,
would say visit
somebody
first. Go ahead.
commented in the beginning saying that I'm getting blamed and I got fired. So that
Mm.
was a comment in the beginning of the show.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you, first of all, you got fired because you weren't taking the hint, and you're supposed to leave. Like, so first of all, you were supposed to leave. A lot of people stay in jobs past their due because it's more comfortable and it's scary out there, right? So you don't want to like go out in the open marketplace. You're like, you're happy, it's not broken, that's enough, right? But what happens is if you a couple things happen. One, if you procrastinate and don't do it, and you should, you'll be forced out in somewhat of a blunt way. It kind of builds up in a bluntness. I don't know why, but it's kind of very step forward blunt. On the other hand, if a lot of times I'm finding with me, it's like when people have to leave your life and they know they have to leave. We're back now,
Yeah,
right?
we're back.
So yeah, I had a phone call. I have to learn to turn it off. But when people have to leave your life, they quite often will create a reason why you're bad. Like they'll create a fantasy. It's a total
Yeah.
fantasy that you're something this or you're that. It's like what? It's like I never did that. It's like yes, you are. I don't. You've been lying to me this whole time. It's like what?
Yeah.
And I used to be really offended by that stuff because I'm like, you can leave me, but you don't leave me on a lie. Like but they do, and spend the rest of their life like oh, and it's like wow. By the way, you're responsible for that. That was their decision. They had to blow you up. Some people have to make you an enemy because they can't take the heartbreak of loss. And so to be an enemy is a lot easier.
Yeah. It's crazy that you say that. I when I owned gyms, there was one person I hired who was a family member, and I hired him in like a pretty significant role. And I said like, "Hey, look, you have to quit before it gets to the point where I would need to fire you. Like this, I'm not imagining this is a permanent job for you. You're just use this as a stepping stone, but promise me that you're going to quit when you see an opportunity to do something better than this
Yeah.
because you
Mhm.
don't belong here." It was like the only person I cared to have that conversation with because it was a family member, right? Everyone else though just kind of seems to stay there until resentment builds and and then like they either do something completely where it's like apparent that they're not going to work there anymore, or you just kind of have to fire them because they're just dragging the ship down.
It's
Um,
crazy. Yeah.
but yeah, it seems like I mean, not all jobs we're supposed to have forever, and we've got these abandonment issues from our parents that like if we get fired from the job or if we leave the job, like there's all this other emotional stuff mixed into that. If we can
Including
look
money.
past it, yeah,
Yeah. And money too, which tied to self worth. Yeah, that's the thing. Jobs, very rarely do you keep a job your whole life. Very rarely. That's because karma's speeding up. So, we used to take and great grandpa, like it took 25 years for him to get what I got in 7. Like that's just what it took. Like things were so much slower. So you had to like play it out. It was very slow. But in our modern times, you can get there, learn a lesson, you're done. Ready to move on. It's kind of funny. But also people are lost too. They're taking stuff they don't want, and you know,
yeah, that's a really good perspective shift. Like you get something out of the job too. Like when there's nothing left for you, why are you still there?
excuse me, 100%. Yeah, exactly. Like this one. No, I'm kidding. Um, Yeah, just kidding. That's a Gary joke. Is that really for you? But yeah, no, people stay, and it's because they're afraid. They're afraid of change. I would say if you're afraid of change, you're gonna be a lot more afraid of what happens as a result. Like you gotta like woman up, man up, or whatever, and just take that leap. You know, and just be conscious of what you're going to do next. Like just be conscious of your intentions. To be conscious of your intentions alone, creates a success rate that's much higher, right?
Okay, so we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces coming this weekend. Anything else big in terms of transitions?
No, that's big enough. So what that is that there's a conflict there, and I guess we should talk a little bit about how to handle it. First of all,
Okay.
you're going to be tempted to handle it with your mind, and that would be a mistake. So your mind is not qualified to do this. It's because it's too complicated. It's too rich of a situation. It's going to be too personal, right? And because it's so personal, the mind will be a little dumbfounded on how, like, not to offend, how to stick it for yourself and also not offend them, like, whatever. So there's a lot of dancing around that. I don't think people have the political skills, skill set to do, even those in politics. So you have to go with your heart. You have to ask your heart, what do you want, heart? Um, like I went through a little, I think I'm also going through tests right now. So here's another thing. So, I discovered someone did something wrong to me and pretty much got away with it. And so, I could actually pursue it and get justice, right? But I realized that's going to put me back in the karma. So if I open the case again, literally, and brought this person back into my life because of this or whatever, you may say, oh, justice is served. Well, kind of, because, if you learn what you need to learn, they obviously haven't learned what they're going to learn. They're going to find out the next person, right? It's not going to be you because they're gone, right? Gone with whatever is wrong to you. But for you, you don't really need to see them in pain, do you? You don't
Right.
really need to see them suffering, do you? Because that's what a lot of it's for. I mean, it's crazy as it sounds, but we're kind of mean as humans. It's like, I want to see them suffer. Like,
I
it's like,
know.
ugh. And it's like, whoa. And although that's a fantasy when you're hurting, and that's acceptable because you're suffering, and so you want them to be in the pain with you. But once that pain clears, it's like if you cause pain to someone else, it doesn't matter that it's karma. You have continued the karma because you just now caused them pain.
Right. It's
And
no
then
longer self-defense. You're just
correct. Yeah. It's actually punishment.
right.
That's what it is. So we go, I'm doing this for justice. Look, he needs to know. Are you sure? Or is it a punishment? You want to punish the person because you're mad and you're hurt and you want to take that pain out on that person. And yes, I understand if he does something horrible. Like, yes, I understand fathers that want to kill someone that hurt their children. Yes, of course, I understand that. But you can't. Because if you do, you re-up yourself in that same karmic cycle again. You just bought another one-way ticket, another ticket around the block. So, be careful. I would say let people get away with stuff right now. I mean, they're not going to get away with it forever because it's like once they do that, you're like, okay, you're on the mark for deletion. When I get the time, whatever, I'm going to replace you and someone else, and I'm going to delete this whole relationship. So you yourself, you have to be patient enough to just wait until it's the right moment. That's what I'm saying too. That's the best
Yeah.
thing for you.
Yeah. I mean, even religions is that like judge not, yes, ye be judged, something like that. I don't speak in
Yeah.
Latin, but
No, yeah.
it
Yeah.
basically means what you're saying, that you're going to get back into that cycle of judgment where you're going to also be receiving the same judgment that you're putting out.
It's real hard to hold the ego back. You know, I've talked about this before. It's like when I take one for the team, that's what I call it. Um, my ego burns. I mean, I'm angry. It's angry that it's losing and it's choosing to lose. Like we're choosing to lose. Like, "Grr." So it's a hard. It's much easier to just hurt someone than it is to
Right.
like sit there and like burn over it. But then once it clears, you feel really good because you've actually cleared a huge tension cord in you that had been probably pulling on you your whole life in one way or another. Or maybe set up by your father, picked up by your next best friend. That sort of thing. So my point is like, don't be afraid, face it. And one thing I'm not afraid to do now is tell people like it is, and people are shocked because I just didn't used to be that way. But I'm like, the truth matters that they're like, is that what you think about me? That's what I know about you. It's like, it's like, whoa, oh my God, people didn't expect it. And I'm not being mean or anything. I'm being very kind. I think about it for a long time before I say it. But yeah,
I also find that when you hold back something that doesn't need to be like explosive, that a better time will come that's more constructive and more potent and
Mm,
feel better all around. Where
yeah.
that it's like you're saying that it doesn't even need to be released, but like if an opportunity comes by once, like just watch it go by, and if there needs to be a resolution, it'll come where it feels good and it's way more potent and powerful and better for everyone.
You don't need the other person for the resolution.
Right,
The issue is that you won't let it go, right?
right.
They're not sitting there holding you like a spot squeeze, like making you think about it all the time. Like you're the one who keeps thinking about it all the time, right? We tend to forget that. He's got to pay. Why? You can't let go of your emotion unless he does.
Yeah,
You know,
because I'm
the
carrying
answer
it.
is right. And they know how to carry it. All we know how to do is like, project it on other people, right? Pretty much. So, yeah, a lot of times that is all irresponsible stuff. They're just misprojecting because it's too much work to do it the right way, you know, which is
So
educate.
why did we start talking about that? Does that have to do with something going on for all of us? Just trying to
Well, I
relate
think we're going to
that.
go through a lot of karate chops. I think as
Okay.
things going to start falling apart, like I don't know, I can't think of a funny thing right now, but it's going to start falling apart, and I'm saying get out of the way, uh, let it fall. First of all, don't try to save things right now. Like if anything falls now, it's meant to go. You know, and if someone passes now, they're meant to go. Like there's no question. It's like we're in a erase period of Earth, and Earth is going to be the first thing that's upgraded, and then the people who have already upgraded themselves will feel it natural. People who haven't, we're going to feel this real pain that they're just below something.
Man, it's so funny when we started talking about this, I didn't realize that it's happening to me. But then
Oh
I
yeah.
just realized right now that like, yeah, there's a character in my life that is like crossed the last straw, like completely. And it's coming to a point probably in the next few days, exactly what you're saying, that it's going to be a complete sever, no
Mhm.
need to ever interact again type deal.
That's that. Yeah, and that happens, unfortunately. And when that happens, be sure to bless them. So when you set them away, it's like protect them
Right.
from being further affected by you. Bless them on their journey. Bless them on fill their heart with love. Let them know that you support them always in other realms, but not this one. And just as good as you can to let it go because that stuff
Yeah.
still, they're if they don't understand, they're going to come back in your life a couple times. So that
Letting it
usually
go
happens.
is the answer sometimes that is best for even them,
You said
even if
owning a
it.
gun? What'd you say? Sorry. What'd you say? No,
No,
go
I
ahead.
didn't
Letting it
say
go?
that at all. I didn't say that at
Mm,
all.
mm.
All right,
Okay.
so you did kind of cover the days, right? But is there anything
Yes, it was that.
specific that we should go over, or did you already did that?
I feel bad, but honestly, believe it or not, I'm keeping it simple right now because you have to. What's important is that every morning you wake up and you protect what's valuable to you. So I'm like telling you, hey, there's a storm coming, so wipe some stuff out of your life. So you need to mark what's important in your life. What's important? What's important? What's important? Mark those things that are important, the things that you feel are important. Um, and then also be flexible on things that are important. Be like, hey, I know the universe got to take some back. So not this stuff, it's basically what it is. And then monitoring your feelings and how you respond to yourself. So as of tomorrow, the respond to yourself stuff is not as applicable because we're learning about ourselves right now. So responding to ourselves is most important. Then you go into the world of life, right? Everything, day to day life, people you talk to, where your kids go to school, where the post office is, all that stuff in daily life. That's what you now look at and go, whoa, this is also out of balance, right? Now, there's a possibility where you go, oh my God, I can't change this whole town. I can't change this. I can't help it. This is the way the town is. This is the way things are. This is the way people are. This is the way people were. Like I have to say, I don't know. Honestly, I
Hmm.
really think you're gonna see even your biggest assholes become insane. Some people go further down, some people will bounce up. And so it's a stock market, based on what kind of stock they put themselves. And so you have to be prepared. There's no simple answer. Every answer might be read a little differently. In other words, like you get like this one, you get like a little intuition in a dream, and you're like, oh, I know what to do. Next one, you have a dream and intuition, you're like, no, that's not what I'm doing this one. Like, so it's not one size fits all how we face this stuff. And what you want to look at too is like, who are you becoming? That's the end of the day. That's the biggest thing. If you want to stay on track, God doesn't care what you do, actually. It's just who you become, right? Who you be, and then what comes. Who you be, and what comes. So take a look at it. Be honest look at it. And now with the criticism, put that aside. But it's like, yeah, I do ignore my kids all day. I do. Like to get to the honesty there, because the honesty will actually keep you from having a paranoid guilt paybacks. So what happens a lot of times, a person, if they're a very punishing person, they're a person that punishes the people around them. Oh Lord, when they make a mistake, it's hell, right? And they put a whole bunch of punishment on themselves, restrictions, things like that, and that hurts your body. That hurts you to do that. Doesn't serve the person at all. They know they're in prison or something. They know what freedom is, and they'll have it. So ultimately, the best thing to do is just to step back, and like let things fall the way it's supposed to fall, whatever that meant has to be, and look for the clues. Now, I am also seeing the new come in right away too. So the new's coming right in. It's not like a whole like wait period and then when it starts. It's like it's trickling in at the same time. With all my business, everything things look really bright and positive. Actually, nothing feels off or bad. Thank goodness. But there's been some major signs too. Major signs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
becoming, this is like it's an action, it's a verb, right? And that's what life
Mhm.
is. We're here to be, to being. We're human beings, right? And
Yeah.
so in every moment it's we have that choice. We have that opportunity. The independent of how we've been in the past. It's just like every moment is an opportunity to be, an opportunity to respond, and that's essentially our choice.
Mhm. Oh, 100%. And how we respond to ourselves, again, is the most important response to yourself, right? It doesn't matter, if you were nice to yourself and you normally weren't, if you don't know what to do, try the opposite, you know? Like, I just normally let myself go, then don't. Dig in there, get close, so if you don't have any clue, then do the opposite, or get some tutoring at Sirius Joy, and we'll help you with it, or at Sirius Joy Academy, I should say, or talk it out with somebody, like so you have like a game plan going in, like what your choices are going to be, because a lot of times these choices come in a magic moment, like a real magical moment. Um, and yeah, we use like I knew like for instance with one person who I knew was lying to me, all kinds of stuff. It's like I just responded to myself like it's very kindly and very nice, like oh it's okay, another student for the boards, But to the person that I was nice, but I was like very honest, you know. And because I thought to myself, this may be the only time someone tells you the truth, so I'm going to tell you. You know, I know you didn't ask, but you're sharing space with me, which means you're in my laws. You're under my jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Like the way I work. So you have to really
Yeah.
honor who you are, your job, and the way you work. And you may look like the farmer in the dell when the cheese stands alone. Where there's just no one around you, but that's temporary. I want everyone to know that's temporary. I've heard a lot of stories from people. My doctor hates me. My this hates me. My this. This is the first like 10 minutes of the reading. I'm like, huh? I have to listen, and I'm like, well, you know what the problem is? There's one common thing in all of them. You. And so it's like you're the epicenter of that. And people don't realize they have the power right here to do it. Yeah.
Are you giving readings to people? How do they
Yes,
do
I
that?
am. There's a wait list, but come on down. Come on the wait list because the way it works is it's kind of a lottery. So once you're on the wait list, we send an email when there's availability, and it's just like people race for it. And people have said magic things have happened. I've had a couple of readings like, I've seen you in ages, and it's like, yeah, I just felt like to go to the I felt pulled to the computer. They were just like their guides are like, get up, get now, hurry up. So put out a prayer if you want it. I'm not trying to be cocky. I just have only so many hours, and I do a good job, because I may not see the person ever again. So I take my time, do a good job, I don't burn out. But yes, they're one reading will change your life for sure because your perspective will completely flip. Because because the way we're looking at it, most of the life is that we're looking at it the wrong way.
And how do people find that if they want to join that list?
You go to senseichristopher.com, and that will be where you'll find it. Just click there for readings. There'll be reading waitlist. Just go put yourself on the waitlist. We'll keep you in the loop. And there's other stuff coming out too, of my own stuff down the line. I've got some cool stuff coming out. It's been channeling. Basically, I'm going to create a kind of like a neo matrix trading center. Like I think I want to help the magic makers make magic. So which is completely out there, but it's I see the formula, I see the force, it's the matrix. So people are very powerful and magical, and there's something we call enchantment, enchanting, and so It's really not. It's not spell making. It's not manifestation. It's enchantment. Enchantment is that your energy itself inspires the energy in the room, or inspires the person in front of you, and so your energy ends up coercing, talking them into, showing them the potential of themselves versus you having to actually, teach line by line. So, it has to do with the way you present yourself in the enchantment and the energy you bring to the table, and then also has to do with the client that you're facing and what they need. And this is being taught in Intro to Astrology Professional. I'm teaching them how to be aware of themselves and the client at the same time. Yeah, because usually go in there only think about the client.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's at SiriusJoy.Academy.
Yeah, SiriusJoy.Academy. SiriusJoy.Academy. That's right. It's a nice purple site. So yeah, we got some great stuff. We got some great stuff there. We got you build your own, make your own tarot deck for self love. So we have a class up there right now where you can, basically create your own tarot deck. It was with Gwen English, an amazing artist and teacher. Um, had this idea of making your own kind of tarot deck based on your own heart, and so she based it on the step system of the 11 steps to Serious Joy and 40 days of self love. And so every day you're actually making a card that represents that part of your consciousness. And that's a great idea because that means that you could theoretically do a tarot card spread and see what step numbers are screwing you, right? You like that by pulling
That's
those cards
cool.
later. Because
Yeah.
build a card, build a deck on your heart, and then you can read your heart with it that way too. Yeah.
Right. And this is something that all practitioners can use, like not the tarot deck, but the intro to step astrology professional, like us being
Yes.
aware of the energy and what people are going through can be used no matter what type of practitioner you are.
100%. In fact, step astrology fits into everything numerological. So anything with numbers is really steps. Everything's a step. And they all build upon each other, and you go through this wild sequence. So yeah, you can use it's a step methodology, and you do not have to learn astrology either, because we start with astrology in the course, but then we go. But that's really, I believe, I become. It's really like commandments inside yourself, these active commandments. And just because you don't know which one's being tickled right now, it doesn't mean you can't do a darn good job. You know, and you can still, know which. The truth is, you will know if you don't have a time of birth, for instance. In the worst case scenario, understanding your chart, you just have to do a chart where your sun is right on the horizon, so it's right on the line of ascendant. So it's like peeking up over the mountain kind of thing. And when that happens, that chart is accurate. The chart's accurate. Another thing we've been looking at is the a chart that shows the truth of your spirit. I think you should see this one too. And it's been out there for a long time. I'm drawing a blank on it all of a sudden. I'll have it again. I'm getting a case of Ross disease. I can't remember things, but but anyways, it's a chart that ultimately shows you the truth of your soul, and it's been talked about through Dylan, Design Maven. He does uh, human design, brilliant guy. He said this is your 5D chart. Like, this is how you get to your 5D. And we looked at it and we're like, yeah, I would not disagree with that. I think this is how I would go about getting to your 5D, which basically means, but when I read this stuff in my chart, it's like where my heart really is. It's really interesting. So, for example, it's like my son's in Taurus. So I guess what I'm saying is this new realization of this chart, this is probably what I'm going to be doing serious next for the public is helping you with this chart, right? It's just draconian chart. It's called draconian chart. And it's an interesting method that astrologists created a long time ago back in ancient Islam kind of territory. And what they do is they take the north node of where it is now, wherever your north node is, so it's your midheaven or your north node. And your north node is like the direction you should be heading, right? And it takes it to zero Aries, which is interesting because it's like, okay, zero, what you're heading for is now towards earthly gain. That's what happens. So it calculates the chart for nothing. Nothing is for earthly gains, zero to all those ego things. Turns the ego off. And so with the ego off, all your planets move around. Like they actually stay in the same spot, but the signs move underneath them. Right.
Right.
And so long
Crazy.
story short, I'm a Taurus with 18 Taurus, so I net to a nine, so I'm a niner. And nines are all about, getting going forward, stuff like that. But and my rising is a nine, so I pretend to be who I am also, who I really am. But then in my draconian chart, my spirit chart, I'm a nine Leo, which is like that means that all I do is really act on what my heart wants. And that's true. Like my soul just wants to do what my heart wants. That's it. That's all it wants to do. This whole part of me, like building stuff and teaching people, that's the human part of me is making me, do that. My soul doesn't care one way or another.
So this readjusts the charts to see kind of like your soul's alignment. That's cool.
Well, what
Beyond
we
this
think it is,
physical.
you have a soul and you have a spirit, right? And there's like the soul, apparently, like we come from heaven and then we divide once. So we create a lighter version of ourselves out of the top version of ourselves right away. And then that lighter version then creates even a lighter version of ourselves. So we're like in like a Russian doll thing. We have a very light version of ourselves. That's because we're too big and dense to fit in the way we are to fit into this earth. It's too small. Mother Earth has small feet. So it's like very, very tight shoes. And so we actually strip ourselves off. And so that first split of our personality, which human design excuse me, says some of that too, where they say you have a soul, your soul's created 88 days prior to your birth. So you could run a chart 88 days, and that's supposed to be your soul's chart. Well, I looked at mine, I'm like, no, it's not my soul. I disagree. Because it makes me a 22 Aquarius, things like that. But this draconian one does feel like my soul. So what this means is your soul has a different chart. You know what I'm saying? Then this was told to me too in another book I was reading. In your dreams, when you're in dreams, you have a different chart.
Hmm.
You don't have your normal chart. The chart you have today is actually your disguise, who we pretend to be based on our rising, right? So
It's a mask.
yeah, it's a total mask. Yeah, exactly. So that had a big with my head. I was like, wait a second. I've been teaching people how to do the disguise. You know what I mean? Like,
The
really?
best disguise, yeah.
Perfecting it. Well, perfecting it makes you a good player in the game. So you can really play the game and you can win when you're good at your disguise, right? But my draconian is like, your heart wants to have a legacy, but only after things you love only. Where the Taurus side of me is like, I don't love it, but we got to build this. We got to build a community. I got to build an HR department. I got to build this. I got to build all these things that I don't necessarily love at all. Because for me to have my big vision of dreams come true, I'm going to do the stuff, all the stuff I don't like. The Draconian's like, nah, just do what you like. You know, it's very, very, it's the soul's intention. I'm really sure of it. But it's been really compelling because the way it just turns things around. For me to be a Leo, well, that's how I really feel inside as a Leo, right? And how I project the outer world as a Leo. But I'm supposedly a Taurus, you know. So it's really compelling. So that's stuff we'll be doing, after this fall transition. I'll be posting that talking about like probably some sort of a webinar to kind of look at your prenatal, your soul's chart and take a look at the difference between the two and see the big leaps that happens, right? Some people have a very different one. Some people have very similar one. So, sometimes the North Node just goes like that. It's done for them. So everything's just off a little bit. And mine was off 90 degrees.
That's
90
crazy
degrees.
to think
So
about. Yeah.
full, yeah. Which is interesting. If you're into this sort of stuff. But the point is like, man, that's something that just came in, this idea of a Draconic chart, this idea of a spirit having its own chart. These concepts are just coming in now that I've never had before in my 20 years. And it's because so my point is I feel my story is progressing. I'm on to the next chapter. And so far it's pretty dull, but I'll let you know. You know, kind of thing. So I feel like people are making the choice to bring it back down to the people. There's something in your life that's not fair, or you're not being fair. There's some people who aren't being fair, and they know it. And they're just seeing how long. I mean, it's like for them, it's like quitting cigarettes. Like, I'll quit. I'm going to quit one day. I'm going to quit. I'm going to start being fair one day. And they have the intention. They want to do that. But they at the end of the day still end up taking more for them and less for you. And so that kind of unfair thing, yeah, hiya, it's gonna be karate chop by the eclipse. And exposed kind of thing. So stop. Whatever you're doing, if you're being mean to people, stop. You know, because you're being forced to. You're gonna find the old tactics don't work anymore. Yeah.
All right. And that's the
Yeah,
main theme
that's
of
what it's
this
at.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing too is like new relationships are coming. So a lot of new relationships are coming. I don't know how to describe it. For me, it's a whole list of people, like people I've never met before. Not that you're gonna leave the old ones behind, but it's kind of like your elementary school friends. Like, how often do you talk to them? The ones you have now, a lot of them are going to go to that elementary school status, where it's like you never talk to them in your life anymore, and you've never done anything wrong. They've never done anything wrong. It doesn't ever say something's been wrong. It's just this is how nature takes us sometimes, often in new directions. So I guess what I'm saying to everyone out there is like listen to your heart. If your heart wants to move to Greece, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's strong reasons. And I would say the other thing too is if you get that pulse, test it out first before you make a commitment. you know. So test out, going to Greece. Like go to Greece on a vacation. Don't live your life there, right, or something like that. Just test it out because sometimes you're being called to something that is going to awaken a memory. You know, sometimes. Oh yeah, what did I have? Yeah, I had to, like the universe was just perfectly manipulating me the last 2 weeks. In the sense of like, hey, you can do this. I could do that. And then I'm walking, I'm like, oh shit, this is a karma setup. Uh-oh. Like I was set up by the universe many times, like at least 3 times. And then my friends who watch me closely were like, yes, that is weird. Like you totally naively, following them in the cave, whatever. So I'm saying that too. Don't feel bad. That kind of stuff's happening. It's like if you can't see it, heaven will trick you
Right.
into finding it. Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
So
So
it's like,
then,
yeah, totally. Yeah, go ahead.
so I think that's a wrap then.
I think that's a wrap, brother. That's all I can say. If you're a Libra, watch out. That's it. No, I'm kidding. Um, no, I will. In with this, I think Librans are about to bloom. And I don't think they bloomed their whole life yet.
That's
Like
what it feels like.
they haven't. They've been kind of not dull, but I mean, they haven't been able to. They haven't let themselves out of the bag. They haven't taken risk. Um, a lot of time they have. They never settle. They couldn't settle with the right person forever. Like for whatever that's their job to be good at people, and they couldn't find the right people. So they really got off track in this last 50 years, unfortunately. But that's the nature of things, right? Their values didn't change, their group didn't change. But now I'm seeing change. I mean, that's remarkable. You know, not they were bad per se, but there's just certain habits I saw. And the thing is, they're being called in on the stage. If you're Libran or Libra rising, you have a major role to play in the new era. You know, God doesn't trust. And sometimes that role is actually to make things to break things. So most of the time, when things are really broken, God sent in the person who broke it. It's not actually a dark person. It's actually light disguised as, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I'm literally, they go home at night and they take it off. Like it's a complete role they play, and it's the way they get the humanity's, instruments going forward, kind of thing. It's like sometimes throwing a wild card. So my point is like, if you find yourself, that guy who's giving the speech, or you find yourself being approached, don't necessarily push that stuff away. Some you might be getting a hint from the universe. The universe is definitely stepping in now more than I've seen in a long time. Stepping
All
in is
right.
like miracles and things like that. Mhm. And we're very high for miracles after this eclipse. So this eclipse is going to clean everyone out, kind of like a coffee enema, and you'll be feeling so good. This is a human garage. I can say coffee enema, can I? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
say coffee.
Yeah.
Totally. Otherwise, I say thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to light work with you.
Yes. Thank you guys all for being here. And Chris, yeah,
Thank you, guys.
appreciate you sharing the nuggets of wisdom.
It's a total pleasure. Just remember, when shit hits the fan, come back to us. We'll be here for you.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, yeah, Mr. Ra, myself. All right. And
All
let me
right.
know who that person is, Rob, when they identify them. Before you go to bed, ask the person, who are you? What's your purpose?
Okay, I tried.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
just feels like maybe so I'm getting the I'm they're taking baby steps to like not scare me, kind of thing. Um,
Mm, mm,
it's what it
mm.
feels like. But
Hmm. If it
this
was
is what it feels like.
negative, you would not see it as a possible. So a lot of times when things are actually negative,
I
your
don't feel
mind
any
isn't.
fear.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
FYI.
uh-oh. Not fear, but like I was gonna say, I would say if it's not negative, if you don't feel like it, if you don't think it's negative, then that's usually when it could be, right? So usually when people go, "Is this a problem? Is this a thing?" If you have to ask that, it's not. You know what I mean?
Well, like
So
I said, it feels like it's going slow for a reason, and that's just
yes,
what it feels like for right now.
yeah, it's always so for me. Yeah,
It's
so I
very
get it.
slow for me.
Yeah, totally.
One word
Well,
at a
look forward.
time.
We got to hang out with each other sometime too.
I know. You got to make it over to Palm Springs. There's a waterfall there that's pretty epic.
You keep
Um,
trying. So now you got to tell me. You got to show me. Maybe in the fall.
Taquits or something like that. Taquits
Mm.
waterfall. It's really close. It's like in Palm Springs. 20-30 minute walk to an epic waterfall.
Oh, in my
Um,
backyard. I don't even know it. So yeah, no, I'd love to. Yeah, you don't have to come there. I can go wherever you are. Where are you? Northern?
Ventura, probably moving back to
Oh,
LA in a few months. But I mean, Ventura is still kind of close to LA. It's just further away
it
from
is.
Palm Springs than LA
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
LA has safe pockets. Just make sure you know. You're very sensitive. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All
Yeah.
right, brother.
We're feeling out. All
Well,
right. Bye, everybody.
love everyone. Hang in there for the eclipse. We'll be with you.
Yes. Take care.